Friends in the Dhamma, again the right time has arisen for all of us to share the Dhamma. Buddha says, Dhamma piti sukhang seti. Those who understand the Dhamma, those who follow the Dhamma, they become peaceful, they become ever happy, they become pleasant. Once you practice this Dhamma, eventually it will change your character. Gradually, step by step, it will change you. Buddha's teaching leads you for the gradual development towards upward the spiritual ladder. It transforms wicked people to become compassionate people, ignorant people to become enlightened people, ordinary people to become noble people. So it is the light of wisdom. So it is the light of the deluded world. So all of you today got together here to share this Dhamma. So it's a beautiful day. So be happy that it's another opportunity to discuss the Dhamma. But as Brother Jerry said, today the topic is very controversial. Buddhist view on organ transplantation. So that's what we are going to talk today. So what is organ transplant? That is Maull's achievement in the medical history. In fact, that is the only hope for those people who are suffering from organ failure. Organs can be donated or procured when somebody is still living, as well as once after somebody passed away. While you are living, you can donate your kidneys, part of your liver or pancreas. Once after the brain dead, maybe your heart or lungs or some other parts, as well as after the complete death, like bones and so on. So what does the Buddhism say about organ transplantation? Does Buddhism encourage organ donation? What does it say? In Buddhism, we have got a concept which is very popular, dana. What does it mean? Dana is a Pali word. What does it simply mean? Giving away. But giving away out of great compassion. Giving away without expecting anything in return. Giving away having right understanding. And giving away having right wisdom. So that is simply means dana. But dana can be practiced in 3 successive stages. In the first stage, Dana simply means sharing whatever you are having with the others. You can share your wealth, you can give away the material wealth to the others, those who are in need, needy and poor people. You can share your wealth. Give clothes, those who do not have clothes. Give food, those who are in hunger. Give medicines, those who are in need. And thus, you can share whatever the material possessions that you are having with the other people, having compassion and right understanding, but without expecting recognition, name or fame, without expecting all those. You can give away having right understanding and wisdom with the purpose of detachment, to eradicate the greed in your mind, having great compassion. Some people give away with expecting in return something for the fame, for the name. And they give, and if they do not get the name, they are angry. They are not happy. Some people give away in anger. They don't want to give. For example, you are having some food in a restaurant, a local center. Somebody who comes and asks for money, and you think this fellow is having, seems like quite healthy, and why doesn't he work and earn? You get angry and you do not want to give. But this person keep on asking. So at that moment you are angry, but to get rid of him you just give away. So you give away with anger. Some people give away with fear. What will happen in my next life if I do not give? Or some people give away with a fear of the punishment in this life or next life, so on. But when it comes to the Buddhism, you give away with compassion, having understanding, friendship, goodwill, without expecting all these things, with the intention of detachment. So you can share whatever you are having with you. And again, it's not only sharing your material wealth, but also sharing your knowledge. You can share your knowledge with others. That's also a form of giving. And those people who do not have material wealth, you can volunteer physically to give your service. So some people come to the Buddhist library to do volunteer work. I think many of you. So what do you do here? You're practicing dharma. You do your service. What am I doing here today? Also a form of dharma. I'm sharing the dharma. So dharma can be practiced in many ways. So this is the simple first stage of practicing dharma. It's understood, very simple. The Bodhisattvas, those who practice, those who cultivate to become perfectly enlightened beings, they cultivate dharma in 3 successive stages. This is the first stage, and the second stage is known as dharma upaparami. So another step deeper than the first level. Here it is said, those worthy people who practice this, they give away their organs. They give bloods. They give away their kidneys, livers, pancreas, bones, bone marrows, eyes. Whoever can be benefited out of great compassion without expecting anything in return, having right understanding. So here it's explained very clearly in Buddhism. It's a form of dharma, it's encouraged. And it is a bodhisattva practice, it's a noble practice, dharma upaparami. It's very clearly said. It's a very wonderful thing here to know. Today I think that scientifically and technologically we are very advanced, and we can give away our blood, we can give away our kidneys, eyes, and all these organs. But Buddhism, 2,500 years old ago, it teaches to give away your blood, give away your physical component parts. What does it mean? What does it mean? And also it is said Bodhisattva, the present Buddha, or the Vaikuddha Enlightenment, he practiced all these in his previous lives, not only one time, but billions of times, in the process of cultivating himself to become a perfectly enlightened being. Does it mean that in the history there are very advanced, technologically and scientifically advanced civilizations too? Maybe something for you to think about it. And the third stage of practicing dana is known as dana paramatta parami. These worthy people who are practicing to be perfectly enlightened, they do not hesitate to offer their own life if the necessity arises for the well-being and happiness of the multitude. See, what is important for our topic is the second stage, dana upaparami, giving away the organs or physical component parts for the well-being and happiness of the others. So it's very clearly said, it is encouraged. In fact, not only the Buddhism, but also many other religions too, major religions, almost all the religions, they encourage organ donation. But there are some religions too do not encourage, and there are a lot of superstitious belief related to this. So that is what we are going to discuss further. Well, there are some issues related to organ transplantation. So let's take one by one. Let's see what Buddhist perspective on it. Now it is a kind of debate among some members of the medical and business communities, and they argue that there are a lot of people who are waiting to have organ transplantations, but there are not enough organs. So as a solution, these people, they suggest to sell the organs, to start selling the organs. At the moment, it is illegal. It is prohibited in all the countries. I think you can remember what happened 2008. If I'm not wrong, it is, I think, July. One of the Indonesian gentlemen sold his kidney to one of Singaporean, I think, Mr. Tong Sui. I cannot remember the other part of the name. You know what happened? He was pleaded guilty in the Singapore court. The same manner, there are many incidents all over the world. So it is illegal. But some of the personnels of medical and business communities, they want to change the rules, and they argue organs belongs to persons. So we should have right to do whatever we want with the organs. This is one argument, they say. The other one, they say, if we allow the organs to be sold out, then it will solve the problems that we do not have enough organs at the moment, and people will have, those who are waiting to have organ transplantation, they can have the organs and go ahead. But Buddhism rejects this argument based on ethical grounds. Buddhism based on three types of ethical grounds does not agree with this. It always says to clarify an action, whether it's a good action or bad action, you have to consider and thoroughly investigate and scrutinize the facts that whether this action is motivated by greed, hatred and delusion. So the first ground is motivation behind the action. If any action is motivated by greed, hatred and delusion, then that is considered negative type of actions. Ethically, morally not accepted in Buddhism. Second ground is intention behind the action. If the intention is again motivated by greed, hatred and delusion related to it, involving greed, hatred and delusion, then again that is rejected. Third ground is consequences of the actions. Once after an action is done, does it bring unhappiness or lamentation for oneself and for the others, for the multitude, for the both sides, at least to one side? Then again that is considered negative. In this way, based on these three ethical grounds, Buddhism does not support the idea of organ selling. In fact, this organ selling creates more problems in the world. Suppose who wants to sell organs? Who wants to sell organs? That is given permission and that is given license for the rich people to exploit the poor people. Rich people will never sell their organs, neither most probably medical persons. Most probably maybe poor people will sell their organs. That's also indiscriminately. They have no any other choice. For the sake of money, they will sell away their organs. So giving openly license to those rich people to exploit the poor people. And again in this process, undergoing surgeries and all this process, definitely they have to undergo a lot of sufferings. And there's no guarantee that whether one of the kidney or some of the parts were given away, there's no 100% guarantee whether that person can be lived a good life, a healthy life. There can be many risks. Under these conditions, who wants to sell away their organs? So the organs selling involved selling the organs from the living ones as well as selling the organs from the dead ones. Again, selling organs from the dead one also cannot be accepted. Suppose at the moment what happens in the hospital, sometimes they may come to decisions when the doctors have to decide whether those patients were supported by the machines, life support machines. When the doctors have to decide to take away the machines, there are enough ethical concerns and problems at the moment too. Suppose if money involved this matter, what will happen? If the organs are to be sold, those who are dead or those who are critically ill, when the money comes to the existence, to the business, a lot of things can happen. Possibility, sometimes even relatives, they may purpose of selling the organs. Maybe hospitals can withhold the treatment for the purpose of taking the organs and transplant to some other person. So in that way, if we allow the organs to be sold, then there can arise many other ethical problems. So Buddhism does not agree with this idea based on these three grounds. Again here, when it comes to organ transplantation, we have to think of Singapore law. What is the Singapore law here? HOTA, Human Organ Transplant Act. Similar laws are there in many other countries, not only in Singapore. Many other countries also have this kind of laws. United Kingdom, always they consider organ transplant or organ donation is a voluntary act. But citizens, they can register if they wish. Before their death, they can register to donate their organs. Poland, Finland, Portugal, as well as France, and these countries also have the same ruling that we are having in Singapore. It means all the Singaporeans, as well as those PR holders between 20 to 60, they are all in HOTA. It means any stage at the brain death, and your organs can be removed and transplanted to some others. But if you do not want it to happen, you also are given option. You can be opt out. But this option has been given only in Singapore and France. Some of the other countries who follow the same ruling is compulsory. Anyway, here, what does Buddhism say about this? If somebody can sign up to donate the organs after the death, or according to Singapore, you are already in, and if you do not sign up to opt out, and your organ can be taken and transplanted, that's a meritorious deed from the Buddhist point of view. Even after the death, this body still can be utilized for meritorious cause. So for something good, to be utilized for something, for the good purpose. So it's a meritorious deed in that sense. Buddhism encourages it. And some people, before they die, they write the will to offer their body or give away their whole body for medical experiments to the universities, to the medical faculties. That's one of the great noble deeds. It's a dharma. So Buddhism encourages it. There's another issue. When somebody is clinically dead, or the brain dead person, can we procure those organs of a person who is brain dead? It's a critical issue. Many religions say different things. So what do you think? When a person is brain dead, can we take his organs from the Buddhist point of view? What is the death from the Buddhist point of view? Traditionally, it is accepted in olden days, when a person is brain dead, he can be heartbeat stop, when the respiration stop, and legally and medically it is decided that person is dead. That was earlier. But now medical science is advanced. With the advancement of the medical science, a lot of life support machines. Because of this, the medical science, they wanted to have a definition, a better definition. So they came to the definition of the brain death.
Brothers, who's the owner of car SFJ 2737? SFJ 2737 have need to remove the entrance of somebody's car. Thank you.
So the brain dead. It is said that when all the functions of the brain is no more active, the neurologists, according to neurological science, it is said that person is dead. What does the Buddhism say? How does the Buddhism recognize the dead? Ayu usmati vinyana yada kalang jahantimam atha vidyata dasati nirattana kalingara. Buddha very clearly says here, Ayu usmati vinyana. Life is pain, heat element, and the consciousness. When these three things depart from the body, apavidyata dasati nirattana kalingara. That person is dead. That person is lifeless. It's like a lifeless log. So here, the brain death, we accept in Buddhism. There is no any argument as death. Although some people have got different views, even among the Buddhists, they may have got different views related to this, but this is what the true Buddhist point of view. And Buddhism later on mixed with many other religions, superstitious belief and practices. So some other concepts and beliefs also have come to existence. But it's very clear from the Buddhist point of view, when there is no consciousness anymore, when the heat element is no more, and it is already dead. So when somebody is brain dead, there is already dead. So we accept it. So that's alright for us to donate the organs. Thanks to medical science, the life support machines, although that person is dead, still these life support machines can keep the blood circulations as well as to keep the organs alive. So that's what's happening. Suppose in olden days, when we do not have these life support machines, when the heart stops, and when the lungs stop, on the other hand, heartbeat and respiration stop, we accept it as a death. We do not go to the extent to examine whether the consciousness is there or not. Correct? But what happens today, when the heart stops, artificially we give the support through the machines. So heart pumps the blood. We give the respirations to the lungs. So we keep these two organs alive. But the person is already dead. When the birth death occurs, clinically, when the doctors say that he is dead, that is the definition for the Buddhists, and there is nothing for the Buddhists to argue in that sense. Thinking that there is a soul in the body and this and that, we do not have this concept. So it's alright to donate the organs when somebody is claimed or when somebody is proclaimed as brain dead. That's another area. What about those people who are in coma and persistent vegetative state? Of course, still there are some people who have a materialistic view. And they say no point of keeping these people in ventilation centers, life supported machines, and take away these, you better take their organs and let them die. There are some people who argue that most probably those who are holding materialistic view. But not in any medical sense that they recognize as dead people. Those who are in coma as well as PVC state, they still having some sort of consciousness, and it's proved. So Buddhism, what does the Buddhism says? How does the Buddhist counter argue? And Buddha says in one of the particular sutta, there are three types of patients that we should take care of. He says, there is a patient who will not recover whether that person gets medicines and proper treatment or not. That person will not recover, will die. There is another patient. That patient, whether he get the treatments, medicines, or necessary care, whether or not, that person will eventually recover. There's another patient, that person will be recovered only if he gets proper medicines, proper care. Only then he will recover. Buddha says, although proper care, medicine should be given to this last person who can be recovered, apart from that, the other two are also should be taken care of, should not be neglected. So the others also should be given the medicines, taken care of well. So here gives a very clear answer to the questions of some people asking whether we should let them die. Buddhism does not agree with this. So Buddhism encourages to take care of all these patients until their death. Well, when it comes to again organ transplant, now there are some other issues. Now the scientists, they have found when we transplant the organs, and the person who is going to receive the organs also have to suppress his immune system and has to take medicines throughout his life, and the possibility is that later on that person may get the disease or infection in the organs, as well as sometimes the organ can be rejected. So that scientists, they have done more and more experiments, and they have come to a different technology. It's known as cloning technology. And using the DNA of the person, they can, using the cloning technology, they can create a different living being. A living being to take the organs, but it has to undergo embryonic stem cell development. But a real problem arises. The question is, to take the organs, we create another human being. Then we destroy that human being with the purpose of taking the organs. Is it ethical? Buddhism does not agree with this. Buddhism does not encourage this, because Buddhism recognizes maybe it is made of your own DNA, but it's a different living creature. It's already a different living being. So the purpose of having the organ transplantation using the cloning technology, it is not according to the Buddhist point of view, because according to ethical ground that Buddhism recognizes that is destroying life, that is killing another living being to take the organs. There's also another possibility that they are considering, that get the animal organs transplanted to the human body, like those organs of the pigs. Also, from the Buddhist point of view, again, Buddhism does not accept it, because you kill another living beings to get the organs. I think these are the issues that you have to consider from the Buddhist point of view when it comes to organ transplant. Other than these ethical issues, Buddhism always encourages organ donation. It's a noble deed. It's a deed which is practiced by bodhisattvas, by noble, worthy, wise people, those who are cultivating to become perfectly enlightened beings. So I think this much is enough as a Buddhist view on organ transplantation. Maybe you have got some questions to ask.
So now we will open to the floor for questions. Just start off with me, Venerable. I think for the organ transplant, I'm totally agree that we should donate the organs. But the question is, some books I read that if we allow organs to be harvested immediately after it's confirmed brain death, will it affect the next rebirth?
Yeah, this is many people follow this concept, but not in Buddhism. According to the Buddhist point of view, there is no way that organ transplantation can affect your next birth. In fact, it's your merits if you agree to do it before your death. If you are happy to donate your organs, and that's your merits. Suppose before the death somebody agrees, upon my death I want to donate my body, I want to donate my organs for the well-being and happiness of the others. That person is extremely happy over this point. It itself can be a cause for a good rebirth, to be born in a good place. If that person at the moment of the death, thinking over that matter, if that person can be happy and can purify his mind, based on the purity and the happiness of the mind, he can be born in a different realm which is favorable and pleasurable, a good realm, positive realm. But on the other hand, if a person worry about it, that his organs are to be taken after the death, if that person is worried and angry about that matter and defile his thoughts at the moment of the death, in that way it can be affect to his next existence or next birth, because of the last stage he defile his thoughts. And negative thoughts arise, and based on the negative thoughts he can be born in a negative place. Other than that, once after the brain death, organ transplantation can be done, and it does not affect the next birth of a person.
Thank you, Brother. Are there any other questions? Comments? Okay.
Dear Venerable, it's just a follow-up question from the question that brother asked. Is in terms of the consciousness when the person passed away. I read in books that although the person is brain dead, but the conscious will still stay with the body for a while. So while they're doing a transplant, they'll get very uncomfortable and pain, and that will cause the mind to be so-called in a very unpleasant state. And would that cause a bad state of mind to be reborn?
Well, Buddha has never said that the consciousness is based on your leg or hand or heart or this and that. What does the Buddha says? Namarupa. Vijnana pacca namarupam, namarupa pacca vijnanam. Consciousness depends on materiality and mentality. Mentality and materiality is dependent on the consciousness. Interdependent, interrelated. Yes, today science and technology is very advanced, so we recognize brain is the main organ which the consciousness arises, or our thinking process, brain activities. So we recognize it. But the brain itself is not the only organs, because brain is supported by these machines. So Buddhism recognizes interdependent nature, interrelated nature, rather than pointing out to one cause, one single cause. So the Buddhism recognizes mentality and materiality depend on the consciousness, and consciousness depend on this both. Again, when there is no brain functions, when the consciousness is not there, and that person is already dead, and there's no there's no way for that person to define his thoughts. He's already dead and gone. There's nothing in this body. What keeps your body going on is the machines. That's all. There's no living being anymore. Yes, there are some people who says this, but there's no any proof for all these things, and there's no support from the Buddha's own words. Some of those books were written, but they are only speculations. They cannot quote, or it is said by the Buddha in this sutta or that sutta. We all can say what we want. It's alright. It's our own speculations and our own definitions for that, this or that. But if you want to talk about what Buddhism says, you always have to quote from the Buddha's own words. And it should be according to the teachings. So there's no way to prove, to say that once after the brain death, the organ transplantation can affect to that person.
Venerable, this question regarding organ transplantation, you said the donor must have the right thought to donate the organ and must not be governed by greed or hatred or whatever. I always feel sorry, like you do, that the poor people are the ones who have to donate and the rich people are the ones who pay. But if you think about it, maybe the poor person who donates is not out of greed, is desperate, and it's out of compassion from his family, for his wife and his children. This is the way out for them to move away from their poverty. And maybe the rich man, he gives more because he wants to be generous, so he also gets a new life, but maybe he will give a new life to the poor family. Is this possible?
Okay, I think I have to make clear it again. Organ donation is always encouraged in Buddhism. We always encourage organ donation. It's a noble deed. As I told you, it's something practiced by Bodhisattvas. Bodhisattvas are the ones who are going to be perfectly enlightened. They practice all the good things. So organ donation is always encouraged, and organ donation is done out of great compassion, goodwill, friendship, having right understanding and right wisdom. So there is no any argument about it. We support it. What Buddhism does not agree is organ selling. Selling organs can lead many other ethically immoral action and the reaction in the society. That is why Buddhism does not support the idea of organ selling. Okay, for an example, even today, although organ selling is not legal, illegally there are many hundreds and thousands of people sell their organs. And not only that, do you know, in some countries, people are kidnapped to take away their organs. One of the very famous places, Chennai in India, as well as in China also. And there are many other places in African countries too. Suddenly people disappeared. People are kidnapped to take away their organs. From time to time, I think you have read in magazines and papers these kind of incidents. So although it is illegal and prohibited by the governments, still these things are going on. And there is a term now, what is it called? Transplant tourism. Some rich people, they fly to those countries, those places, to the places, black markets, to buy a kidney, a part of liver. All these things are happening. So, just imagine what will happen if we legalize this system to sell the organs. And again, to answer to your question, I said Buddhism does not support this idea based on three ethical grounds. One is the motivation behind the action. When I donate my organ, my motivation, I am motivated great compassion. I am motivated with friendship, having a lot of good thoughts, non-greed, non-hatred, and non-delusion. That is why I donate it. I do not expect anything in return. But when I sell it, what is the motivation behind the action then? Is it non-greed, non-hatred, non-delusion? Or it is money, greed? Maybe that person who very poor desperately sell the organs, but still when that person sell the organs with so much desperate, what is the motivation? Is it a positive or negative? It's negative, miserable. So it leads you to more misery. That is why you have to observe the motivation behind action. So Buddhism does not recognize when you sell your organ any positive motivation behind the action, but miserable, negative, desperate motivation. It can be even the greed. Then, intention of action. When you sell, the intention is money, to get money. If your intention is great compassion, you will not think of money. And again, consequences of actions. As I told you, it can lead to many other problems in the society. In the hospitals, sometimes those people who are working in the hospitals, when they come to know that these organs can be sold out to the other people, and sometimes maybe patient can be cured and rescued if they work hard and treat well. But when they tempted with money, lot of money, and when there is no enough support from the relative side also, Those innocent people can be easily be victims. So always poor people, innocent people will become the victim of this. Most of the time, not the rich people. So that is why, and Buddhism does not recognize in that way whether you are rich or poor, but in the whole Buddhism recognize this is a kind of unwholesome action, selling organs, because that does not produce any kind of good karmic energy, and based on these three ethical grounds, we do not support the idea of selling organs. I hope that you got it. Yeah?
Follow up on the questions the sister answer. I think Singapore legalized the payment to donor, specific amount for the medical the medical fees or consultations. Would it be this to kind of a certain group which take advantage of this so-called token sum, and to as they say, in desperate situations gives a certain big amount and misuse the law? Right.
Yeah, that is possible, because human beings are always very creative. So they can manipulate it. Yeah.
Okay. Are there any other questions, comments? This one.
Thank you very much. Very interesting topic, and thank you for your sharing. Is it possible that we delude ourselves to think that poor people actually do get a lot of benefit out of it? Because sometimes when they do have their organs removed, they live in very difficult environments to start with not much medical care. Some of them never get the payment that the middleman promises. Some of them never have a healthy life again, and some of them don't have the opportunity to get back to work and contribute to their family anyway. And are we really thinking straight when we're talking about there is some benefit for poor people to get paid for? I'm not saying Buddhism does. I think some people think, oh, these poor people, they're actually helping their families. In a lot of cases, they're not. They're not paid. They have medical fees that are not paid. They sometimes die and are not there for their families. So do you agree that there are problems even thinking that a lot of poor people benefit?
You mean by selling the organs? By selling the organs for the poor people have got some benefits? Well, yeah, if rich people, those who have got a lot of money, billionaires, and if they come and think, if I just buy an organ from this poor person, it can be benefited to that person. Personally, I think that billionaire is a very cunning type of person, because he is, I think in a way he is manipulating, he is using this poor person to exploit. And if he is really compassionate, without buying their organs, they can still help out. So it is something like, I go to the market and I buy something out of compassion to somebody. Is it really out of compassion that you are going to buy, or it is your necessity? Sometimes there is time that although we do not want, we buy certain things from a seller thinking that we should support him. You got the idea? Sometimes we pass by and somebody asks, please buy this and that. We really do not want to buy. But it's still, as a way of supporting, we buy from that person. That's alright. But can this apply when it comes to the organ business? I don't want the organ, but still I want to buy your heart. That is impossible, correct? I really need a kidney, so I'm looking for. I pretend like I'm very compassionate, and okay, I will buy your kidney. Yeah? Because there's no way to buy something like that. So we can't apply it in that sense. Poor people can be benefited materially a bit, but there is nothing. There is nothing, because life is the most precious thing for all the living beings, equally precious for rich and poor. So, those people who sell their organs, they sell desperately. They do not have any other, maybe they don't have other choices. So there are people who sell their kidneys for the sake of money. But does a rich man do this? Rich people never do this. Most of the time, those doctors and those who do the surgeries and medical people, yes, they too do not do it. And only poor people, maybe intelligent people, wise people, or educated people also, maybe they also do not do it because they know the risk. And most probably, very poor people, and also uneducated people, and those people who are in the bottom level of the society, maybe they will do it. So encouraging this is we are giving the license for them to exploit the poor people. So we do not encourage it.
Are there any other comments? If not, we should play Buddhism, Guardian of the Sasanaka, to brighten us up, because this question is very